In today's digital age, where every aspect of life is often shared online, intimacy has become a concept that many people struggle to define for themselves. What was once a deeply personal and private experience has slowly transformed into something that must be shared, shown, or validated to fit into a predefined narrative. The act of sex has been subtly altered from a moment of mutual connection and vulnerability to one of performance, an experience curated to meet the expectations of others, whether that's through social media or societal pressures. At its core, sex is supposed to be an intimate act, a moment where two people share a deeply personal experience without the burden of outside opinions. But, as our digital identities have become intertwined with our real ones, it has become increasingly difficult to separate the two. Social media, in particular, plays a large role in this shift. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and even dating apps like Tinder have created environments where physical appearance and social validation are paramount. What started as simple ways of sharing life has turned into a competition for approval and attention. For many, the pressure to conform to a perfect image has seeped into the most private aspects of their lives, including their sexual relationships. Consider how often you see couple goals, posts, or sexually suggestive content online. People frequently share their bodies, their relationships, and their sexual experiences to gain likes, comments, or followers. While at first glance, these posts may seem harmless, they subtly contribute to the idea that our worth is directly tied to the approval we get from others. This belief has turned sex, once a profoundly private and meaningful experience, into a social currency. It's no longer enough to enjoy the act with your partner. Now, the performance must be validated by the outside world. Some might even go as far as documenting their intimate moments or taking pictures or videos to share, ensuring they are viewed by others and that their bodies, sexual performance, and relationships are validated. In this process, the experience becomes commodified, something to be consumed by others instead of cherished as a personal, emotional connection. Sex, then, becomes a performance. It is about looking good, acting confidently, and portraying the ideal image. Those who feel they fall short of this ideal might find themselves becoming self-conscious, disconnected from the moment, and overly focused on how they appear. What matters now is how the act looks, how the body is positioned, how exciting or daring the sex appears, rather than the emotions that come with it. The truth is, when you perform for an audience, even an unseen one, the intimacy fades. Sex, once an intimate bond between two people, starts to feel like an act that is constantly judged, not just by the partners involved, but by society at large. The pressure to conform to these ideals can leave many people feeling inadequate or disconnected from their true sexual desires. Rather than engaging in sex to satisfy mutual need and affection, people often feel pressured to perform certain acts or appear a certain way to gain approval. This shift from connection to validation can cause a variety of issues in relationships. Partners may feel that the other is no longer present emotionally as they're preoccupied with checking boxes or meeting external standards, rather than simply being with each other. In fact, social media's role in this performance culture cannot be overstated. Platforms where people share their lives with a curated lens encourage not only physical appearance, but also a performance in emotional expressions. Influencers often post perfect images of love and relationships that don't reflect the messy, complicated nature of intimacy. This sets unrealistic expectations for what sexual and emotional connections should look like. As these ideals are reinforced, people begin to chase perfection rather than reality, leading to dissatisfaction with their own lives. This need for validation also manifests in casual dating and hookup culture, where people may feel they need to outdo one another in order to be accepted or desired. On apps like Tinder, users are encouraged to display their best pictures and most appealing characteristics. While this might initially lead to physical attraction, it often doesn't translate into meaningful connections. Sex becomes a way to validate oneself. Each encounter feels like a tick on the checklist of external approval. It is no longer about connecting with someone emotionally or physically, but proving one's desirability. The internalization of this external pressure can lead to a range of emotional and psychological issues. Anxiety, body image struggles, insecurity, and feelings of inadequacy all arise from constantly comparing oneself to an idealized version of what sex, relationships, and love are supposed to look like. When intimacy becomes a performance, individuals stop being comfortable with who they truly are. They may feel they must hide aspects of themselves or alter their behavior to meet the expectations of their partners or the public. Rather than finding intimacy in their own desires, they focus on performing in ways that they think will lead to approval, which in turn creates a deeper sense of alienation. As people chase this performance, emotional intimacy, the kind that allows vulnerability, trust, and real connection, slips further away. Genuine moments of closeness are drowned out by the constant awareness of how things look or what others will think. Emotional safety becomes harder to achieve when sex is something you feel you must perform instead of enjoy. The messy, beautiful, imperfect moments of intimacy are lost to the idea that things must always be perfectly timed, aesthetically pleasing, or extraordinary. To break free from this performance-driven mindset, it's essential to return to the core of intimacy: vulnerability, trust, and genuine connection. It's about remembering that sex isn't just about the external image or the show, but about the shared experience between two people, naked, not just physically, but emotionally. It's about being present with your partner without worrying about how you appear or how you'll be judged. Only then can we begin to reclaim intimacy and separate it from the need for validation. True connection happens when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and free from the pressures of performance. This return to authentic intimacy is the antidote to a culture that has stolen our deepest connections in the pursuit of external approval.